Much nice see, man. I must have got spend time. When do?
Spend time.
Spend time.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we'll be doing a goddess rhinestone look on Olivia. So it's Olivia's birthday and she wanted it popping. So as you can see, we did the brows off camera based on the fact that I like to stand in front of my clients when I'm doing their brows. So I'll be blocking the camera for that time. So I chose to do it off camera today. So that's that. So we're starting with priming our lids and we're using the LA Girl Flat White Concealer. We're placing that all over the eyelid and we're just going to blend it out with a nice fluffy brush. So now we're moving on to the eyeshadow. So we're using that nice warm brown shade in the Zulu palette just to create a rounded type of shape around the eyelids. Well, on the eyelids. So just a nice rounded shape, as if, you know, when we're prepping for a cut crease. That's what we want to do. So now we want a nice clean base for our cut crease. So we're just placing some astringent on a Q-tip and we're just wiping that area clean. So we're just going to use that same Q-tip to create the cut crease before we even draw the cut crease. Pretty simple. We want to use a Q-tip just to draw that shape right on. As I said before, we want a nice clean base because we're working with some gemstones. So we wanted to start with a nice even base, so we have a nice even base for our gemstones. So I'm testing it to see if it's dry, and now we're going to use the same flat white concealer just to emphasize that cut crease. And also we want a light base for our cut crease because we're going to place a light colored glitter as well on top of that flat white concealer, just so the gemstones pop a little bit more. We don't want to place a color underneath it. It's going to take away from the beauty of the gemstones. So I'm just drawing my cut crease right now using a nice flat brush. Trust me, drawing the cut crease or shaping out or cut crease, it takes practice. It's really difficult when you just start it out, but just a little practice and you should be fine. So I'm rounding out my cut crease to make sure that I have a nice half moon shape for the gemstones. So now we're placing on our shimmer shade on that flat white concealer on the base. So this shimmer shade will be underneath our gemstone. So this is what we'll be seeing through the gemstone. So we want it to be light and we want it to be reflective. Based on what color you use, that will be what will be reflecting through the gemstone. So if you use blue will be reflected through. If you use a light gold, that will be reflected. If you use silver, that would be reflected. So just a rule of thumb, whatever shade you place underneath, that is the shade that is going to shine through your gemstones. So we're just covering up our white base with the shimmer shade. Pretty simple. I'm using another flat brush. You can use a fluffy brush as well. Either one works. It was just the closest thing to me at the time, so that is why I chose to use a flat brush to apply that shimmer shade. So now for the fun part, we're applying our gemstones. So we want to place down our glue, but just a little bit at a time, because we want the glue to get a little bit tacky. If you place glue all over the eyelid, then you know that the eyelid crease, it might crease up and your client might get their eyelids stuck together. So you want to place it down in sections, and you want to place your gemstones probably 2 to 5 seconds after placing down the glue. I am using a silicone ended applicator, and it came with the set, so I'm going to place a link below. I got the set off Amazon. So I have colored gemstones, I have the clear ones, and I also have some longer looking ones. So I know it's a nail set, but I use it on the eyes. It was safe for me because I did this look on myself before, so I know it would be safe for clients as well. So as I said before, we're placing down the glue and we're working in sections. Place down the glue, wait a little, and then you're going to place the gemstones on top. Alright, it's really hard to use your fingers to place the gemstones on, so I really recommend getting this silicone ended applicator. Another tip is you want to raise your client's eyebrows just a little bit so the skin can stretch out, so it's better to apply the gemstones. You want a flat surface. You know that sometimes our eyelids are a little crinkly, so if we stretch that skin out a little bit, it might be easier for you to apply that gemstone or those gemstones. So it takes a little bit of time, I won't lie, it takes a lot of time, but you just need a steady hand and a little bit of patience. So we're repeating the same thing on the next side. So we're placing down a little bit of glue, we're allowing it to dry for probably 2 to 5 seconds, and then we're going to place our gemstones on top, working in sections, because as I said before, if you just place all the glue on the eyelids, your eyes might crease, your eyelids might crease, and it's going to be a gluey mess, no joke. So I realize now that my lights are really bright, so you can't really see the beauty and the shimmering of the gemstones, but trust me, it's so pretty. When we're finished, you'll definitely see it because the camera picks it up much better in low light than this bright light. It's as if you're only seeing white, but trust me, it reflects all colors, purple, sometimes blue, sometimes pink. It's so pretty. So now we're moving on to moisturizing and priming. So we're starting with the simple water cream. I think that's what it's called, but all products will be listed in the description bar below, so you can check that out as well. It was really affordable on Amazon. I think I got this one for $5, and it's a water cream, so it melts right into the skin. Alright, so for a primer we're using the Calamine lotion. I think the Calamine lotion is a little bit better than the Milk of Magnesia in my opinion. It's not as thick, and Calamine lotion is actually used for the skin, so I think it's much safer than the Milk of Magnesia. So I'm just placing it in all her oily areas. Now Olivia is very familiar to the channel, so I know exactly where I should place it, and because it was an all-day shoot, I just placed it all over today. Alright, so you can keep those things in mind. Depending on what you're doing or where you're going, you can adjust your priming. So if you're doing like a date night, maybe in your oily areas, just the oily areas. But if you're doing a photo shoot that lasts for the whole day, it's better to do the whole face. And we're just going to use a nice small fan to dry that down, to just quicken the process. So now it's time for foundation, and we're going to use the OG, which is the Juvia's Place foundation in the shade 130. And as usual, you know, we work in sections. We want to place down the foundation in a particular spot or a particular area, and then as we place it down, we want to blend it out. Place it down, blend it out. If you place it all over the face if you place it all over the face, you might have some dry spots and you'll have like a patchy, messy situation. So it's best for you to just work in sections. You know, thinking about it, when I must feel like say, I really don't like that YouTube something here, but I really like it. But my day job is so hectic. I have about 4 videos in the back, and trust me, it's really hard to do voiceover sometimes, because when I listen to the videos again, I think I sound so weird. I don't like it, so I don't post it. But I'm just going to allow myself to just trust the process and do what I need to do. So, you better love my video, like it and comment and subscribe me, I beg you please, because I really a try out here. So we're continuing with the blending process. As I said before, we like to place it down in sections, place it down, and then we blend it out. Normally I place it down using a normal foundation brush, and then I use a buffing brush to blend it out. So 2 different brushes for 2 different purposes, one to lay it down, one to blend it out. Now we are moving on to concealing. So the concealer we're using is the Juvia's Place foundation in the shade number 8. This foundation, this concealer, is very liquidy, very hydrating, so it spreads a lot. So I don't really like to use it, but based on the fact that we use that matte foundation, I like to go in with a dewy type finish concealer. So we're just blending that one out with a damp sponge. Make sure the sponge is damp, not wet. So you want to submerge it fully in water, but you want to squeeze it out as much as you can, so you have a damp sponge, not a wet one. And as usual, you know, we're going to blend out the edges because we don't want any harsh lines. So we're blending it out. It might look a little bit white right now based on the fact that, as I said before, my lights are really bright, so it's exaggerated. So to me, when I was looking at it, it wasn't bright enough for me, so I wanted to place down a lighter concealer, and this one is the e.l.f. concealer in the shade Deep Olive. So this one is just a little bit lighter, it's more yellowy, so it complements her skin a little bit better. The one before was orangey, this one is more yellow. If you look at her chest, you realize she's golden, she's not quite orange. So this shade would help her more in the brightening sphere, so it would brighten under her eyes just a bit more than the orange in the prior shade. So this is when I knew my work was amazing. Pretty goody. Yes, goods. Nobody not act like you. Anyways, guys, we're moving on to contouring. So we're using the Juvia Place shade stick in the shade Congo. It's the darkest shade, and we're just using that in the areas that we want to, what would I say in Jamaica, sink in the areas where we want to have shadows. So we're placing it on the forehead to make it a little bit smaller. We're placing it in the hollows of the cheeks, so we get cheekbones and them something there. You know the good girl thing them go. You know it go. So, we're doing that. We're placing it also on the sides of the nose to make sure that we have them white people nose, a joke. To make sure we have the straight nose. You see me? So now it's time to place powder on all our highlighted areas. So we're using the Sacha Pro Powder Palette, and we're using the shade, I don't remember, but I'm going to place it down below. But it's one of those shades on the top row. I think it's the third one or the fourth one, or I mixed them both because I didn't want it to be too white. Remember, the shade that we use is very light, so I wanted the one that would kind of tone it down. So it looks white now, but as soon as we apply the setting spray, it will cool down a little bit. I wanted to also place it underneath the hollows of the cheeks to bring the cheekbones, to make them even more prominent. So Olivia call up all her people them, because she knows she got at, so she just prep them for what go on, So that's what's going on. That's why she's on the phone. She just call them to make them know, say, me hot girl things that go on. So now we're moving on to setting or contoured areas. Now I wanted to use powder that's a little bit more reddish, based on the fact that I want it to contour as well as blush at the same time. So this one is from Juvia's Place, of course, and this is the deep. It's the one before the deep dark. So it's the deep, or is it the dark? It's that shade. And we're just going to use that to, as I said before, set the contoured areas. So that would be the hollows of the cheeks, the forehead, the nose, the sides of the nose. So now we're using the same dual lash glue that we used to secure the gemstones, and we're using that as our glue for our eyelashes. So I wanted big dramatic lashes just for the preview. I mean, for the shoot we went with a more modest looking lash, based on the fact that when you have big lashes for photo shoots, they tend to bring forth shadows, especially if you have an outdoor shoot. So we only had these big lashes for the reveal, but for the shoot we had smaller, more appropriate lashes. So usually I ask my clients to squeeze the lashes down together because they are more familiar with their eyes. I mean, they had it all their lives, so it's best for them to squeeze their lashes together. So now we're moving on to setting spray, and we're using the Urban Decay All Nighter setting spray, and trust me, it lasts all night. Take it from me, worth every penny. So now we're highlighting. Highlighting is not really big like before, but because it was a photo shoot, we wanted the highlight to really pop, so that's why we went with highlight today. But normally, since recently, no, I don't really highlight, maybe just the nose. So we did the cheeks and the nose. Now it wouldn't be a JAII CRU look without some blue shadow at the lower lash line. Say that's a me, say that's a my signature, so it got to be there. So that's why it was there. We added a little bit of blue just to make the whole look come together. Alright, so now we're moving on to lining the lips. Normally I just take a normal brown shade, one brown pencil from Mr. Chin. I always say this, one normal brown pencil from Mr. Chin, I will just go and line the lips. As me say, just link Mr. Chin, him have enough of them. All type of brown, him have them, just link him. So now we're moving on to lip gloss. We're using the Juvia's Place Barely There lip gloss, and I like this shade because it's really thick, so you know it lasts all day. So we're placing that on the lips, and usually I like my clients to move the lips together, and then we're just going to place some clear gloss on the top. Any clear gloss is fine, trust me. Now we're looking at the application of mascara. We want to place it on the lower lash line so we have lower lashes. Remember, they're not as prominent as the upper lashes, so just place a little mascara on it and we'll be fine. We're gonna look like Betty Boop. You know them way there? Yeah. So now Olivia feel herself. Alright, catch that style. Olivia gonna tell her how it go herself. Hear this now.
Much nice see, man. I must have got spend time. When do?
Spend time.
Spend time. Temptation. Yeah, me drop hands, you know? I'll food too.
Yeah, girl.
Girl, come out.
You did have to thump you, girl.
Jeez,
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.